Welcome to another Thursday night Bible study, brought to you as a ministry of SIGBC.
During this time, we're talking about kindness. And last week we began by talking about the fruit of the Spirit being love, joy, peace, forbearance, and kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And the idea that kindness has to do with moral excellence and character, gentleness, goodness. It has to do with, technically the word actually means usefulness. And so the idea is that kindness is not just something that is felt in the heart, but it is something that is felt in the heart and then acted upon. And recently I was reading an interesting story about a young lady in the 1970s. Her name was Cynthia Page. And she was a young copyright working in Manhattan and living in New Jersey. And one night after missing the train home, the story goes, she found a phone booth in the train station and called her husband. And when she hung up and turned around, she saw that the phone booth was surrounded by a group of tall, threatening-looking men. She says, I don't know what these people would have done, but I was legitimately frightened. And just as she was wondering what she would do, she heard an angry, booming male voice come through the train station directed at her. The man was shouting about how they were going to miss their train. It was like the Red Sea parted, Page said. This sea of these great big men sort of parted, and marching through came this well-dressed, well-suited man. The man opened the phone booth door, grabbed her by the arm, pulled her out, and moved through the station. As they walked, he continued to talk loudly and complained about almost missing their train, as if he knew her. He waited with her for another train, and once he saw that she was safe, he disappeared. I don't know where he went. I didn't see him again, Page said, but I've remembered it forever. More than 50 years later, Page still wonders what would have happened if that stranger hadn't come to help her. I think it does remind you what kind of kindness there is out there. It reminds you of the connection that we all have together at some very deep-rooted level, and it's a wonderful thing. People experience kindness and remember kindness and rejoice in kindness, but kindness is only experienced, is only possible with kindness expressed. And so today we're going to be looking at today and next week, actually, we're going to be looking at 5 different aspects of kindness in the scriptures. The first is from Proverbs 11, verse 16 and 17. The idea is that our own kindness benefits everyone, including ourselves. Proverbs 11, 16 and 17 says, a kind-hearted woman gains honor, but ruthless men gain only wealth. Those who are kind benefit themselves, but the cruel bring ruin on themselves. In other words, if we are kind to others, then we experience the joy of the act of kindness for others and the joy that they experience in being beneficiaries of the kindness, but what goes around comes around, as they say. And so kind-heartedness, the Hebrew word kane here, means graciousness, favor, pleasantness, a preciousness of heart, or grace. The other word that is used here for kind, chesed in Hebrew, refers to goodness or faithfulness or good deeds or being merciful, actually. Proverbs 14:21 says, "It is a sin to despise one's neighbor, but blessed is the one who is kind to the needy." In other words, as we are kind, we benefit those who are the recipients of our kindness. But also, as we are kind, we receive blessings from God because we choose to do that which is good. And so the Bible specifically says, don't despise your neighbor, but be kind to those who are in need. Number 2, God's kindness expressed in his goodness is a model of kindness and compassion for each of us. In other words, the way we discern how we are going to act in kindness and what it is to be kind and compassionate and forgiving and merciful is we look at the example of God and in his kindness to us, how he relates to mankind. And Isaiah 63 verse 7 says, "I will tell of the kindness of the Lord, the deeds for which he is to be praised, according to all the Lord has done for us." Yes, the many good things he has done for Israel, according to his compassion and many kindnesses. In other words, God, because he is kind, bestows upon us his kindness in the form of the things that he does on our behalf. And therefore he is to be praised according to all that he has done for us. The many good things he has done, of course, Isaiah is talking specifically about the relationship of God with the Israelites, but he acknowledges the many good things that God has done in his kindness for us. The idea being that if we are truly to be kind, it's not just something that we experience in the heart, it is something that is lived out in action. Number 3, we're looking at the idea that our kindness is first expressed in the way we talk to others to build them up. We talked about this last week in our study on the subject of kindness, and the illustration we used was based on the relationship that husbands and wives tend to have for each other and how that we can become comfortable in our relationship with each other, so that the first thing that we lose is the urgency of being kind in the things that we say. And that's why in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, before Paul writes to the Ephesians about be kind and compassionate and forgiving, he gives the warning, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And so he emphasizes the importance of whatever it is that we say, it needs to be based upon the example of God in his kindness to us. And whatever it is that we say should benefit those who are listening. And it should be useful, the basis of the word kindness in the Greek and the Hebrew. It should be useful to those who are listening. And so kindness, of course, is expressed in the things that we do, in addition to how we feel about those to whom we are expressing these acts of kindness. But these, in its simplest form, our kindness is first expressed in the way we talk to others to build them up and make them better people, or at least help them to learn to be better people. Help them to learn to be happy with who they are when they've done something that is good. Last week we talked a little bit about parents' relationship with their children as well, and how that if we focus more on praising our kids rather than on scolding our kids, and understand that discipline involves not just punishing them for what they did that is not okay, but praising them and rewarding them for the things that they do that are good. Those are expressions of parental kindness to our children. And so,
Thank you for listening. You can also join us in person or live on Facebook every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Japan time. This has been a ministry of Sakahogi International Grace Baptist Church.